Welcome and good evening to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight I have Neindorf with me as always. Neindorf, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Hanging in there. It's kind of funny. We're having it's April 14th, and we're still having some snow here in the Midwest. So kind of glad that that's behind us, and hopefully behind us for the rest of the spring and summer season. All right, so let's talk some Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. First thing we wanted to go through is a little bit of a Discord update again, or a YouTube subscriber update. So our target is we're trying to get to 500 and 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit the 500 mark, we are going to be giving away 2 eggs to our team inside Discord. We're going to be doing probably another King Sumo giveaway. And then once we hit 1,000, I've been working on training up a common pure wizard gardener. And so I'm really excited to give out a wizard DR1. And so that's a primary class and first recessive are both a wizard, 10 out of 10 summons, and a gardener. So really hoping to, we want to give back to our community out there for helping us achieve some goals. And if we can hit those, we'll continue to develop new goals on top of that. All right.
Yeah,
So,
that sounds good.
oh, yeah.
I think that's we hadn't done one in a while, and I think it's that's an important thing, especially after some of those conversations we had with Bolon and Risen last week, or sorry, earlier this week actually. Time flies, I tell you what. Giving back is kind of one of those things that's really important. So yeah, we'll subscribe. You let your friends know. We'll do some of these giveaways.
Yeah, and we want to keep doing this in the future as well. Another really big, exciting piece is we're going to be coordinating and organizing a tournament once Duels release. And so that's something that, I'm really excited about. We're going to do a 64-person bracket-style tournament. And we've started to release the registration for that on Discord. So hit us up if you can't find that link. You can message either one of us on Discord, and we'll help you out there. So we're generally trying to just go ahead and adopt whatever the tournament rules are, or whatever the natural duel styling rules are. Nindar, if you want to give kind of a quick summary of what we believe the way that duels are going to operate, and then I'll walk us through how we're going to organize the tournament.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So from what the devs have said, they've kind of got a system in mind where it's basically, for this round, we're going to select the specific skill. We're going to select strength. And so then you'll those 2 heroes' strengths that will be directly compared. Now, it won't necessarily be as straightforward as it sounds at first, because it's like, so if your strength skills are just one different, like say it's a 15 and a 16, it might be like a 49, 51% chance to win sort of style, where there's just a little bit of difference. Now, if you magnify that up until, let's say, a 10-point difference, a 15 and a 25, that might go up to an 80% chance to win versus a 20. So they still want to have some sort of random roll. It's not a guarantee just because your stats higher, right? So we kind of want to replicate that here. We want to make something where it's fun, and anybody's got a shot. It's kind of like the old March Madness bracket, right? Everybody's got a shot.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So to add to to add to the built-in dueling style that the DFK team is going to release, we're also going to create some fun tournament bracket rules. And we really want to lean into the aspect of the game where, and you'll bring 3 heroes to the tournament, and we really want to mirror this to future battling styles where you're going to have a party of 3. And so the idea that we have is that before each round, we're going to randomize which stat is going to the duel is going to be based around. And then you're going to have the option to select that hero to participate in the duel versus the other person's selected hero. And so it adds a little bit of an element of strategy and team building to it. Another aspect that we're going to layer into this first tournament is we're going to call it Baby Cup style. And so it's going to feature heroes that are level 3 and under. That way, we're keeping the barrier to entry pretty low. So I'm excited. We might have a few other rules that come out that are based around making this fun for our team, but that's kind of the gist of it. What do you think, Nandorf?
Yeah, it's like the 50cc Mario Kart, right? It's like,
Exactly.
let's just get started here. Anybody can play this game. And I think I like the randomized stat, and I think it's really interesting because when you pick 64 entrants, you basically, if you're going to win it all, you can have like six pairings.
Hmm.
And of course, if we're choosing the stats at random, you with three heroes, you really can't maximize all eight stats. So I think this is great. I love that it's one of those things where you just got to pick your three and hope that luck is on your side, and then that your pairings across the bracket end up well. I think maybe we'll have to consider two placement. Like, how do we, actually, no, it doesn't do random placement, right?
Random placement, yeah.
Perfect, even better.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, so how about you take us to question of the day now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of what a lot of chatter about now after some of their releases in the AMA and everything is about eggs. So, obviously, I'm going to ask a question about that. I think today my question is really so A, are you going to buy heroes so that you can just absolutely slam quests in and have a much higher chance? What is it, a 10x chance at eggs, I think?
10x, yeah.
Um, for what is it, 3 days? So this is a pretty significant chance for anybody out there who's short on eggs to make sure you quest your heroes, um, get that chance, get that stamina spent. But then counterpoint to that is part B of this question, I guess, is or do you sell eggs, or does this make you think that the price of eggs will drop on the market?
Hmm.
As we talked last time with Olin and Risen, also um, you can sell eggs on the marketplace. So I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm actually probably leaning towards more the buying heroes route or acquiring heroes route. So interesting update for our listeners here. So for those of you who have been with us for a while, you know that Neindorf and I went in on a couple Gen Zeros with one of our investing partners, Walton. And when we sold off the Gen Zeros over this last month, he decided that he was kind of done playing the game for the time being. And so we offered to him that we would split his heroes amongst the two of us, and we would go ahead and we would quest with them, keep all the questing rewards, and we would pay for the level ups. And then when he wants to come back into the game, he can go ahead and have the heroes back. So, I have a few more heroes than I had before, and starting to climb towards that pre PJ level. And actually tonight I'm going to need your advice on buying a hero. I'm thinking about making a pretty big decision here in preparation for combat and duels. So,
That's only fair because you may or may not have helped me with such a decision earlier.
right. So my really long answer is I think I'm going the route of buying heroes, but I do think this is interesting that it's going to affect the egg market once they're released. And I did buy a couple eggs over the last week. I bought a green one for about 30 and a gray one for 40 jewels. So we'll see how the market kind of continues to change here. But I think that's going to be something that shifts a little bit. And, for those of you out there thinking about getting an egg, I have a good feeling that with the supply going up, that you're going to have a bit of an opportunity. How about you, Nando?
Yeah, I like that. I think obviously, my lucky streak kind of continued here. I think was it yesterday or the day before I pulled another one. So
That's
I'm just lucky
incredible.
with eggs. And then I was looking through some Discord chatter earlier today, and we were chatting back and forth about this a little bit. And I'll give a little shout out to one of our members, Radfald. He had an idea where he said he actually went out and bought a few. I think it was maybe even like six gold eggs, or sorry, yellow eggs rather. And his hypothesis is basically that anything mining is gold, like literally gold. That's the profitable part of the game at the moment. So he's hoping that there's some sort of profession-based boost on those yellow eggs. So there's a lot of things out there like that, and I think until we get these eggs hatched and we can see what kind of little critters pop out, I think I'm with you. Hold and accumulate as many eggs as you can.
Yeah. And, it's interesting. We've talked for a long time about what are the value of, the different professions. Oh goodness. The jewel price for a yellow egg right now, if you buy on the marketplace, is 130. So,
Wow.
wow, that's gone up. And the price of I believe a green egg that just popped up was much under that. So it's yeah, check out marketplace. It's going to be pretty volatile because it is using the marketplace system, which is supplied by other users, and based on the supply, that prices are going to fluctuate quite a bit. Anyways, one of the things we've always wondered is, what are the different values of the professions? And it's kind of crazy, with the lock jewel, miners had a clear lead right off the bat. And now with I would say, I'm guessing it was really the leaderboards that pushed stamina potions being so valuable. And now that stamina potions are valuable, the price of gold has, in my thought, has followed suit. And so that kind of combination, I think, is interesting because it's clearly indicated that miners are going to be profitable for the medium term, and then with the release of Crystal Veil and Lock Jewel, miners are going to be profitable for the long term. And so it may look like that's the profession of choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. That's just we, and that the calculus there could very well change with these advanced level quests, or crafting or any other usages for these
That's
items that
true.
we're getting. Like fishing and foraging right now, I mean, we don't really have a usage for those. Now, if fish were involved in the stamina potion creation, I think this would be very different.
Mm,
But the choice of the devs and how that potion was formulated, it it
most of
it
it's gold.
uses a little bit, but not very much. It's largely that gold component, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump into really the buying heroes section of the podcast tonight. So we were talking throughout the afternoon, and you were interested in buying a hero. You messaged me, which is always bad news because it'll that probably means that you're looking for confirmation bias, which I
Exactly.
gladly provided. Start us off by walking through why are you looking for another hero right now?
Well, so I've still sitting on a pretty decent pile in the gardens in Sarandale, and I'd accumulated some unlocked jewel, and it was burning an absolute hole in my pocket. Uh, Compound that with the fact that my lone mythic is still chilling at the bottom of the ocean, and I was feeling a
Oh,
little left
sad day.
out. I was feeling left out. I was like, I'm not on the mythic crowd. I've made it into the gauntlet crew where we've got one of every egg, but I do not have a mythic. So I put the bait out there to you. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a mythic, and I knew and I'd hoped that would get you locked in, and sure enough.
Yeah, purple might be my new favorite color. So we looked at the floor this afternoon, and it was around 300 gold. And how were you choosing or deciding? You kind of had this general thought or direction towards mythic, but then how were you starting to narrow your search beyond that?
Yeah. So the first thing I noticed is um, of my current set of heroes, and I'll even say my current set of more upper level heroes. Like I'm not talking my questers or my mining crew. Like the ones that I'm a little bit more interested in. They're maybe not top tier, but at least they're up there a ways. Um, I noticed that I have a I'm lacking agility, and I could have gone the ninja route, but for whatever reason, if mythic is the way I want to go, mythic ninja is a little bit out of my price range. So that kind of led me to Archer. That's kind of where I started the conversation with you. I was like, hey, I'm thinking Mythic, and I'm thinking Archer because of dexterity, or sorry, agility rather. Um, and so that's kind of how I got into it. And then we started searching from there.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity to shout out Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms, the website, again. So I have this up on screen right now, and you punch in your address, and you can select a couple of your heroes that, or three of your heroes, and you can go ahead and do this. So right now, I'm bringing up three of my heroes, and I'm going to look at how their skills stack up. And so as you're starting to think about and prepare for combat, presumably you want a well-balanced team. And obviously we don't know how skills are going to play into this yet. And so, you kind of came across the decision that you wanted to go for, I believe it was dexterity and agility. And so you're starting to target like Archer because of that. So
Absolutely.
I think that's this is a really helpful tool to help guide people towards what they might need for a balanced team. So, thank you for putting that together. And I'll let you kind of continue. So you found a hero out there. Do you want to share what his number is?
Yeah, sure. So, I'll add to what you previously said too. As we learn more, I was just thinking too before we hopped on to record this that I'm probably going to add a little bit more information to that combat page. I think it's not going to be useful yet, but I'm thinking of adding for each hero you select. Here are the active and passive abilities. Now, in the future, when we have names for these things, I'm at least hoping they have names. We can maybe even colorize them, and maybe these certain basic one, basic two, or whatever suits agility more. And so we can kind of give some more visual cues to kind of help see in a visual manner what's your overall balance of this
Right.
selected squad. So yeah, that's kind of where I plan to head next. I was just thinking, kind of roughing that out in my head a little bit before we hopped on. But yeah, so if you've got the hero, if you want to hop over to the Tavern Hero Viewer, I can give you the number of the guy I ended up
Sure.
selecting.
Ready to go.
Um, so let me know when you're up, and I'll read it off to you here.
I'm up and ready to go.
All right, 167325. So, as you can see, once he pulls it up, obviously I selected an archer.
There you go.
Again, like I said, I I was looking for that dexterity and agility, but I actually, on second thought, it really was the dexterity I was lacking because I started looking again at my heroes now that I'm remembering our conversation. I do still have a couple of ninjas, and I have actually a sage that's got like almost 22 agility, I think. So I think I'm all right there. But this guy here, if you once you pull
Yeah,
up his stats
I got him pulled up, and he's got a thick dexterity stat right there.
for a gen, for, yeah, for a level one, right?
Right, right.
Yep. And so that's kind of where this is where I landed. And there was a couple other heroes that we were going over and talking about. I believe wasn't another one a monk.
Another one was a monk. Yeah, we saw a nice monk he was a monk knight with, I think he had boosted vitality, right?
Yep, that's
If I
right.
recall. And that seemed, I know you've been a big fan of monks because of the generalist nature of the stats. And I
Yep.
think we're going to get into generalist stats a little later with who I'm looking for. So,
Yep.
and your archer here also boosted luck. That's something that I forgot about. When we were talking about it earlier, and I'm looking at this in retrospect, like I gotta imagine that's pretty good. I'm gonna think that archers have damage based on a dexterity modifier, a strength modifier, and then, like most games, critical hits will probably come from something like luck. Now, again, this is all reckless speculation, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think knowing I didn't have a mythic, and basically the budget I currently had set out was going to be a basic,
Hmm.
not an advanced or an elite class. So that's kind of what led me there. And I don't. This is the first archer I've had in a long, long while. So I think I had one
Nice.
briefly. So it was kind of a nice compliment that it's some uncharted territory more or less for me too, which is always exciting.
Yeah. And what I've been doing right now, as I'm looking at buying heroes, is I'm trying to imagine what are their stat points going to look like at level 7. And why level 7,
Ooh,
you say,
interesting.
is it feels like level 7 is around, I don't know, I'd probably call it like the 80th percentile for where hero levels are right now. I mean, obviously you have your severe Stampot users and people who have got their heroes to like level 14. I saw today. I don't even know what the highest level is right now, but I mean that's the tail end of your normal curve, so to speak. And so I've been using level 7 because if you've been, fairly regularly leveling up your hero since the beginning, you're going to have a level 7 hero. And so I'm using that as kind of the benchmark. And so what I like to do is look at the stats page or the growth page that's now on the hero card. And I look at, what's the likelihood if you spend your primary for sure stat boost and you look at that percentage increase and you pair that also with the crystal that you can now use during level up to boost your stat gain percentage. How many stat points are you gaining in the stat that you want to focus or target? And so when we're talking through your dexterity stat, I think there's a really good chance that if you buy a crystal, which are really reasonably priced right now, every single level up, you could probably get an on average boost of, something in the twos. And so it probably wouldn't be 2.5. It'd probably be a little less than that. But if you average a level up of 2 and you're at level 1 and you need to go to level 7, that's another 12 points of dexterity that you would be adding to your current 15 points of dexterity. And then hitting level 5, you would also get your mythic boost. And so this was kind of the process that we walked through when we were texting and chatting today. And, I think there's a really strong likelihood that by the time you get to level 7, you're 30 plus on dexterity. All you got to do is get a little lucky with that, level 5 mythic boost. You're for sure, you're going to get probably something there. And hopefully
at least
it's a
one,
few
I
stat
would say,
points.
maybe two.
And so, if you can get into level 30 at level 7 right now, I'm calling that like rarefied air stat points. And so you're going to be doing really well competing. To add to that, mining is really good. And you got a few summons left on him. I believe it's 5. And, with mining, you can also do a recreational Stampot usage to level him up. And you should hopefully catch the field in a little bit of time. We'll see how things go with the release of level 10 profession quests. Obviously, he's only a level 1 profession, so you got a ways to go. Mm-hmm. But I think, if you do a little stampotting on him, I think you can catch the field here pretty quickly. So, yeah, I'm really excited for you. I was pulling for this guy. I think the monk also would have been a pretty great choice, and I personally am looking for a generalist right now. So, I'm really excited. Any other kind of closing comments on the guy that you got?
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it. So I think I will add some statistics. I like your choice of level 7. I just filtered the hero catalog at the moment on level 8, and there's only 68 heroes at the moment that are at level 8.
Nice.
So that's actually I think a really good tell. And now I'm trying to see how many are at level 7. And I think to your point, here's page number 1. Let me go to page number 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's another 100. Okay, so I don't know how long I'm gonna have to do this before I find the end of the level 7s. So there's over 300. Yeah, it keeps going. I'm gonna quit there. Yeah. But basically, you're right. Level 7 is that nominal max right now, and I think that's true because my only level 8 hero is my rare summoner that I have stampotted. I think he's drunk a few potions in his day. So
did he make a journey too?
Oh no, so he did not. But he was drinking potions the whole time his buddy was gone, and his buddy did come back, so it was worth every drop.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, congrats on getting some purple. It's I'm a big fan, and Waldos Ironlight. That's good strong name too.
Now, yeah, my Gen 1s like to see the shiny purple also, so they're excited for me.
Yeah. I came across a couple heroes today that I was looking at, and I was like, if they have a weak name, it really takes a lot out of me to, kind of look past that. It's like, you need a nice strong name in order to be a part of my team, my squad.
Like Loretta Low Spirit.
Loretta Low Spirit, yeah. She that's why you sold her. Yeah, she was just anyways. So I've been, I jumped over on the website, and I've talked a lot about my mythic thief is probably my favorite hero. So I'm actually going to go ahead and share on Discord what. Oh, you can see what I'm looking at. Never mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a peek here at my mythic thief. And then what I'm trying to decide is I'm not quite sure who my second best hero is, but let's just say it's my mythic Dark Knight. When I look at these two heroes, I have a bit of a gap when it comes to actually, what I'm going to do is plug in, instead of my mythic Dark Knight, I'm going to put in my summoner who made it back on the journey.
There you go.
And so he's a little beefy. Where is he at? There he is, right at the top of the list. So, it's, as I start to pull this up, I definitely have some extremes. I'm filled on the luck bucket. Agility is pretty good, and intelligence and wisdom. And so as I'm looking at the radar chart, here I have an obvious gap in dexterity, and then a really strong gap in what I would consider quadrant 1 of the chart. So strength, endurance, and vitality. And I have been thinking about, maybe should I use my Dark Knight, who has strength and vitality, but he doesn't have a lot of endurance. And when I look at and I think about a thief and a summoner, I'm also thinking very low health values. And so, as I'm kind of walking through the calculus of what's combat going to be like in the future, I'm thinking, like, I need a tank or someone pretty beefy to add to my squad. So I started looking at monks today. I was looking at mythic monks. I was looking at, legendary paladins. I was looking at rare paladins. And then what I decided is, what if I lost a sage on the perilous journey. And I was like, what if I look at dragoons and rare dragoons? Yep. And how are rare dragoons priced right now? So I'm going to go ahead and bring that up for the moment. And Neindorf, if you want to, kind of bring up the dragoons as well.
I'm following along, absolutely.
It feels like we're certainly in a market lull right now, with the price of Jewel being where it's at. And, there's always a chance that the Jewel continues to sink lower, but a rare dragoon price floors at 245 right now. I mean, that feels like a pretty darn good deal. And when you look at the stat growths, a mythic basic class is approximately equivalent to a legendary advanced class, which is approximately equivalent to a rare elite class, which is approximately equivalent to an uncommon transcendent class. And by equal, I mean that their stat points at level 100 will about even out. And so, if you're looking at the value or looking at the price floor of a mythic being 300, and you're using that as your kind of anchor, having a price now at 245, like, that would actually look like a deal if you're using just that basic stat strategy. And there's 3 dragoons here down at the bottom.
Yeah, and if I hadn't just purchased my soul purple, honestly, this floor price rare dragoon, I would be purchasing it immediately. It's kind of funny. To help me avoid some withdrawal penalties, Raph spotted me. It was literally 20 jewels short when I bought that purple, so he threw me a few jewels so I could not have to withdraw and get a penalty on my LP. So I owe him a few jewels. So I am indebted.
Well, yeah, it's and I don't mind at all. And one of the things that I don't know if probably only our Discord listeners, but I actually pulled out of the gardens a couple of weeks ago. I was just trying to be a little conservative with the crypto market dropping, and so I've been sitting on probably a few too many dollars liquid in game, and like you said, the jewel in the pocket's starting to burn a hole. And
Oh yeah.
I'm a bit worried right now, actually. And so I think I'm at a point where I need to go ahead and buy my next hero, and then I need to go ahead and decide how much money I'm going to keep in game, stake it in the gardens, forget about it, stop looking, stop worrying, don't worry about the crypto market, and then the rest, go ahead and pull out of the game and stop worrying, stop looking about that too. So I think, ultimately, if there's any advice that I have, which is non-financial advice, it's don't follow the markets every single day unless you're really good at what you do and you're a crypto trader. But I clearly am not. So here I am staring down the Dragoon race, and why are you looking at this bottom Dragoon this for 245 besides just price? He also has agility as the boost. What are your thoughts here? You asked our Discord team tonight. What are you thinking about agility on a Dragoon?
So, we were chatting and we're like, okay, so a Dragoon is an elite class. And it's clear to me that like the Sage, the counterpart, has amazing boosts in wisdom and intelligence. But then you look at the stat chance increases for a Dragoon, and it's more along the lines of a monk, plus a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, right? So he's kind of this generalist. And I kind of got thinking that tells me that his skill set that we don't know about yet is probably going to be the deciding factor. Kind of like I think Monk's skills are going to be actually pretty diverse and awesome. So that's kind of what led me to thinking that maybe this is a skills game. And then if it's a skills game, I think that agility, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head and you've convinced me earlier where you said that the ninja first strike, fast strike. I got
Mm-hmm.
thinking, well, why could that not apply to a Dragoon as well? Especially since their base
Pretty strong.
agility has already a 65% chance to boost. So you add the plus two, you're at 67. You throw a lesser crystal and you're at 70.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy, the beauty of this guy is if you look at his subclass, it's a thief. So he's already, with that blue bonus, he's already at 21.5% chance to roll agility on secondary. That crystal also puts him up to that lesser, mind you. That's 51 and a half. I mean, or is it 30? I think it's 30, isn't it? Or 15. I forget. I think it's 15 now.
I think it's
But even
15. Yeah,
still,
so
yeah,
36%.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you got a pretty solid chance to roll that agility
Yeah, every three
because of that
levels,
thief.
every three levels you get a point for sure.
Yep, yep. So I'm thinking that fast strike, and I'm also thinking that the spear, the length of that spear is going to provide some skills bonus. Maybe he's able to, he stands back at a little bit of a distance and he doesn't have to take a full brunt of something. I don't know. I'm reading the tea leaves again here for sure, but for whatever reason, I'm currently on that agility
Interesting.
Dragoon train.
Interesting. So when I've been kind of looking at generalists, spending a lot of time looking at monks today, and we looked at the mythic monk earlier,
Yep.
and now looking at dragoons as well. One of the things that catches my eye when you're looking at a dragoon is their second best statistical stat growth is in endurance. And endurance right now, we know, helps with defense. It's a modifier for defense, and it also helps with reducing the amount of time that a debuff is on you. And so, now that you've kind of given me your spiel on agility, I think that it could certainly go maybe one of two routes. It could certainly go the agility route where, if you don't have a lot of time with the debuff, you could then leverage that agility to go faster outside of that debuff or to keep attacking. Once whether your debuff is a strength reduction or a weakness or some kind of modifier to your armor, once you get out of that faster, you can keep attacking and keep going.
Yeah.
The other way that I like to look at endurance is potentially, could this generalist, if you focused all of your primary stat growth into vitality, and could you end up creating a just a really well-rounded beefy tank. And so going back to, that mythic monk knight that we saw earlier today, if you focused everything on vitality, and you had endurance leveling up naturally with its really high statistical increase, how would you end up faring with a hero at level 7, as we've talked about, or level 10, level 20, and so on and so forth? Would that hero, if they could be strong enough or beefy enough, can they absorb some of the damage that the rest of the other heroes that are on your party, can they kind of do that critical damage that you need in order to stay ahead and win that battle? So that's something that I started looking at, and I started scrolling down the list of heroes to see who is boosted in. So I'm going to actually get rid of Sage here, who's up on screen. And I started thinking about, all right, let's look at a boost in, defensive traits. And so I decided, let's look at a boost in vitality and a boost in endurance, and let's see what heroes are out there.
Yeah, and I think I really like where you're going to, because a lot of people say that, well, if you're looking for defense and tank, I mean, Paladin's the obvious choice, right? But I still just feel that Paladin is their skill set is going to be somewhat more obvious and limited in nature. I just kind of feel the generalist skills characters, monk, maybe even thief, and definitely dragoon, are going to have skills that make them absolutely rock. And so if you can combine those skills, maybe there's a special half the skill tree that's more for tanky, and there's another half that's for offense. So I don't know why I had this feeling, but the devs and Tango and all them have talked about how combat is hugely balanced. They want everybody to be balanced. So I I just got this feeling that you're on the right track here, personally.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And then, I've kind of also talked myself into. I actually feel that Priest is a pretty strong secondary class for anyone you want to be a tank.
Did I lose you? I don't hear you.
What skills are Priests going to have? There are two classes in the game that they have confirmed to be healers, and that's a Priest and that's a Sage. And so I think that if you are a tank and then you can...
Hello.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now I'm back. I lost you for a moment there. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, no worries. All right. So let me go back a little bit. So I'm really believing in the secondary class of Priest if you're looking at your character to be either a generalist or a pure tank. And the reason for that is there are two confirmed classes in the game that can heal you, and that's a Priest and a Sage. And so I'm thinking that, I'm really excited when I'm focusing on a stat bonus of either vitality and endurance and also a secondary class of a Priest. That's actually pretty exciting for me. What do you think about that as kind of that next level reckless speculation strategy?
That's fantastic. I really like that. I think Priest is another one of those that I have kind of disregarded, absent-mindedly, more or less. I think I've kind of had summoners and I've had a Sage relatively early on, so I just considered my magic heroes to be completed, and I just never really even considered Priest because it was kind of in a separate skill tree or uh, class tree, right? Because we had owned the pirate and the monk, and so by nature, we were getting ninjas, and so I was, dealing with ninjas and summoners in order to go for Sage. So I just never really dabbled over in the Priest side. So I actually really like that, and I think, like you said, the confirmation actually does add a lot to this.
Yeah, so, and as I started kind of poking through this, I was like, what should I focus on? Looking at the Priest as a secondary class, and then, you made a side comment the other day, which really derailed, or earlier today, which really derailed me, which was, hey, if you pick up a guy that's 3 out of 3 summons, he can pair with my Sage that's 3 out of 3 summons, and we could work something out. So I was like, all right, well, let's just start looking at some of the higher priced heroes to see what else is out there.
I did it again.
Yeah, you did it again. You figured out how to remove Jewel from my wallet. And so then I found a guy that I started looking at 2 heroes that are legendary, or excuse me, Perilous Journey survivors, and it's pretty expensive. But when I was looking at both of these guys, I thought it was like really interesting to talk about on the podcast, which is the choices that these two individuals chose on how to spend their legendary survivor points. And so, can you see up on Discord right now, Neindorf, what I have brought up?
I believe so. Yes.
All right, so I'm looking at a Dragoon Pirate. Now, again, he gets a lot more expensive, but Legendary Survivor, level 4. I like the level 4 because you still have that level 5 boost that you're about ready to hit. You know, he's young enough that you can still influence him. So this
Oh yeah.
individual chose to boost, presumably, Vitality, Intelligence, and Wisdom. And then when you go look at the docs, Intelligence is magic dodge percentage, Wisdom is magic defense amount, and Vitality is health. And obviously, as we've discussed, the Dragoon also will have a naturally high endurance level up. And so this guy, I believe the strategy behind it was build a super tank. Now, it was one of those, like, when I first flipped the card over, I was like, what did this guy do? He screwed it up. And then after I've like thought about it more, I'm almost like, okay, did he screw it up, or is this guy zigging when everyone else is zagging, and he's just guessing correctly
Nailed it.
at what it could be?
Yeah, and I like that he's relatively low level, like you said, and the PJ put in vitality. That's going to pay dividends.
Yeah. All right, so then let's scroll down a little bit more. And again, I mean, we're looking at like going from removing some to removing most to removing all of my spare cash. And so now there's another Dragoon Pirate, a legendary, another PJ Survivor. I don't know why I keep calling them legendaries. Well, they're practically legendaries. I think that's why I
Yeah.
am, because of their stat boosts. And we're looking here. This guy decided
Wow.
to follow your strategy, 20 agility, and a little bit my strategy. The vitality he clearly boosts, and then he
Oh, he
boosted
boosted luck.
luck as well.
Oh, see, I think he's chasing fishing a little bit, but
Oh, you're
luck
right.
is that you don't know, right? It's got a little
You're
influence on
right. He
everything. So
is
A,
chasing
that
fish.
boosts his profession with agility and luck, and basically, so he gave fishing plus 10 basically, but they fit the class actually.
They do fit the class.
Fascinating.
So, and this guy, way too expensive. I don't think I can afford this, but
Well, yeah, level 5 and 126 total stat points. That's nuts.
yeah, yeah. Let's go ahead and look at other level fives. Um, let's just
Oh,
look at
oh,
level fours.
there we go.
Well,
Yeah, they're
not
all
many on the market.
wow. They've all been scooped up. So what's yeah, the level? So he's still a PJ survivor, but okay, so yeah, one level about six. So either of those two are solid plays.
So yeah, I mean, I guess this is exactly why I'm calling it legendary, because I mean, look at this. He's a level 4. This legendary is a level 5, so he's received his legendary boost, and
Hmm.
and this guy, he has the same number of stat points and
Yep.
costs 1,000 less jewels. So that is a
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. And then this guy here who is level 5, so tied. He has 6 more stat points, and so it'll take probably,
10 levels?
yeah, 10, 20 levels, probably 15 levels for them to even
Yeah.
out, I
Yeah.
think, depending on the natural Luxa rolls.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, 15.
And this
And then that
guy,
guy's
oh
just
man, he's totally priced incorrectly.
yeah.
But he has mining, so yeah, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, Big Bean, I'm not buying it.
Well, I guess he also has 3 out of 3 summons, so
Oh,
that's
okay, I'm still not buying it, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah. So
interesting.
yeah, he's probably priced correctly, but not buying it. All right, so let's tone it down to level 3 and see what our basic stat points are here. I mean, so the guy that we were looking at otherwise was 90. 88.
Yeah,
One
the
guy's
PJ
120.
Survivor
The
is,
PJ
is a
Survivor
huge
is huge.
boost.
Not only did he survive, but he also had just a little bit of better level ups as well.
No doubt.
Ooh,
Wow. Yeah, no, not
he's
pass on
3
that
out of
one.
3. Yeah, I'm not gonna. It's double generalist. All right, so at this point we're just kind of meandering around. I gotta kind of decide to do my business or get off the pot, as they say. So
Oh, yeah.
that's the breakdown, I think, for the podcast. We wanted to take our listeners through buying heroes. We both feel like this is a buyer's market at the moment. We're both in probably jewel value being down, and then also it just the cost of heroes based on the dollar value of jewel also being down. And the market kind of goes through these weird ebbs and swings where sometimes you get like that double whammy where heroes are underpriced in terms of total jewel that people are asking for, and the price of jewel costs less. And then on the other end, like that's a real sell opportunity when the price of jewel is high, or when heroes are valued at a high value, a high amount of jewel, and the dollar value of jewel is high as well. So something to think about as those of you out there who are looking for some arbitrage opportunities. It's something that we've noticed is that it doesn't always just purely follow the dollar price of jewel. All right. Well, Neindorf, any closing comments on the evening?
Yeah, I think this has been a lot of fun. I mean, I love going through the hero market. It's kind of fun to. We had a bit of a lull. I mean, there wasn't a ton released in this week's Wednesday drop, so it is kind of fun to just focus on one of my favorite segments. Honestly, is going through the hero market and finding that good deal. And we talking through things that we'd done offline earlier, but I hope it's helpful. And please shoot us comments. If you got other items you want us to look into, maybe next week we should be looking at those priests, like you said. There's some value in priests probably, but yeah, I think this is just an enjoyable experience, and I love being able to sit down and just go through this and like I said, read those tea leaves.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, listeners out there, and please, if you can or willing, please support us on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot. And pretty soon we'll be giving away some eggs and a hero. So, thank you very much, and have a great night.